The first signal arrived in the deep night over the Pacific, when the world was quiet and most of Earth's cities slept under a veil of dim lights. A chain of satellites caught the signature of a foreign engine burning across the void. Every instrument reacted at once, and warning threads ran through command posts until the highest councils of humanity received confirmation that something vast and unknown had entered the system. Panic did not follow. Humanity had learned long ago that the universe owed it nothing. Caution was old instinct. Preparation was a habit refined by centuries. The object was no stray rock. It moved with purpose. It slowed near the moon and cast a shadow wider than mountain ranges. People who watched the streams felt a silent pressure as they compared their home to the intruder. Against it, Earth seemed small. Still, no human voice wavered. Fear was natural, but Earth had weathered too much to bend. Human patrol ships approached on strict orders to observe and warn. When the first scans returned, the officers whispered to one another in disbelief. The vessel was not a single craft, but a fortress grown from some metallic root stretched into monstrous petals. It dwarfed every known human design. Within minutes, transmissions blasted from it across every frequency. A language unknown, a tone demanding. When the linguists deciphered the outer shell of its meaning, they discovered the message was a declaration of domination. The senders proclaimed themselves as the rightful rulers of all lesser worlds. They demanded surrender. They threatened that refusal would invite destruction. Human leaders read the translation and exchanged calm looks. Earth had been threatened before. Earth had risen before. History taught that if anyone wished to test that resolve, the result rarely favored the challenger. The fortress ship opened like the wings of a predatory creature and released a fleet of dark drones that sped toward the planet. They spiraled downward in tight formations. Human defenses responded within seconds. Towers hidden beneath oceans lit the seafloor with blazing pulses. Clouds parted as interceptors broke the sound barrier. For a moment, the sky was a mosaic of trails and light. Then the first drones reached range. They were fast. Too fast for many weapons to track. Their material ignored heat and radiation. They were relentless. But humanity was no stranger to relentless foes. The first counterstrikes came from an array of orbital cannons that hammered the incoming swarm with streams of charged particles. The drones twisted and tried to evade. Some succeeded. Many did not. Fire streaked between stars and atmosphere as pieces burned. The remaining drones pressed closer and began to deploy their own beams that carved gouges in clouds and atmosphere. One beam clipped a patrol craft and sliced through its hull. The craft split in two and tumbled in silence. Those watching from stations felt their breaths clench. They did not mourn long. They answered. Human ships leapt into coordinated patterns. Their engines glowed white. Each one fired in perfect harmony until the assault turned the sky into a blaze. When the last drone shattered, its fragments falling like dark hail, the fortress ship sent a second signal. This one carried no threats. It carried a warning of its own power. It promised retaliation for the loss of its forces. But it also carried something else. A hint of confusion. A doubt that had not been present before. Humanity replied with a single message. They ordered the intruders to retreat and leave the system forever. There was no bravado, no boasting, only certainty. The fortress ship did not retreat. Instead, it descended. Earth trembled as its shadow crossed continents. As it neared the upper atmosphere, its underside opened and released dozens of massive shapes that dropped toward the land. Each one landed with a quake that rattled buildings and shifted sand on distant shores. They were machines built for conquest, standing like armored giants. Their joints hissed steam. Their limbs carried blazing weapons. Their heads scanned in every direction. Yet even then, Humanity did not break. On a plain north of an old capital, a battalion led by Commander John took position. John was a tall figure with a weathered face shaped by years of service. He gave orders in an even voice. His troops tightened straps and ran last checks. They had drilled for this their entire lives. They knew the cost of failure. They also knew something else. Across Earth, millions were rising. Civilians armed the shelters. Engineers sealed bunkers. Scientists tuned experimental shields. Farmers guided children under safe roofs. Every human heart beat in the same rhythm. The first of the giant machines advanced, sinking heavy feet into the soil. Energy flared along its arms. The air hummed. John raised a hand. His troops waited. When the machine crossed the marked line, he dropped his arm. The plane exploded with human ingenuity. Mines erupted. Turrets rose from the ground. Drones shaped like narrow arrows shot upward and dove straight into the machine's joints. The machine staggered. It retaliated with sweeping beams that blew gashes through the earth. One line of trenches collapsed. 2 human vehicles were hurled aside like toys. Yet the defenders did not fall back. They pressed harder. They darted from cover and fired into exposed gaps. Human artillery boomed from the ridge and cracked the armor of the machine until it slowed. John gave the final order. A strike team sprinted across the crushed field and attached a charge under the machine's chest. They dived away as it detonated. The giant toppled and crashed with a tremor that rolled across the hills. It lay still. Reports came from other regions. The same machines had landed. The same battles raged. Rivers glowed with heat from the attacks. Mountains cracked. Forests burned. Humanity held every line. High above, observing the carnage, the rulers of the fortress ship felt something unfamiliar. They had conquered countless civilizations. Their enemies had always begged. They had always knelt. They had always yielded. But these beings of Earth did not kneel. They did not plead. They fought with a unity that defied reason. They fought as if their world refused the concept of defeat. The fortress ship began a new phase. Its core brightened. Its hull parted to reveal a vast cannon shaped like a luminous throat. It aimed toward Earth. Energy built within it. The light grew harsh. Observatories across the world broadcast urgent alerts. Scientists realized what was coming. Entire cities would vanish. The planet itself could crack under the force. Humanity did not retreat. Every defense ring on the planet aligned. A global council ordered a final action. A secret counterweapon, known only as the Shield of Dawn, activated. It was a project completed only months before. It had never been tested. It was designed to convert the collective output of thousands of reactors into one coherent field that would wrap around the Earth like a sphere of shimmering glass. In control centers, technicians held their breaths as the generators roared. Light climbed through towers. Lines of glowing metal reached into the sky. The atmosphere shimmered as an enormous shield spread over the planet. It flickered once, then locked into place. The fortress ship fired. The beam struck the shield with a soundless flash that lit half the sky. For a moment, day turned to something brighter than day. The shield rippled. It strained. Alarms screamed across every hub. Some generators blew apart. Some stations collapsed. But the shield held long enough. The beam scattered and died in a burst of fading light. Inside the fortress ship, the leaders of the invaders stared in disbelief. Their greatest weapon had failed. The planet below still glowed with cities and life. Something broke in their certainty. Something cracked in their pride. They sent another transmission. This time they did not demand. They warned that continuing would lead to mutual destruction. They insisted the humans had already proven themselves. They asked for negotiations. Humanity did not accept at once. Leaders studied the patterns of previous conquests carried out by the invaders. Billions across the galaxy had fallen under their cruelty. Too many had been erased. Too many had been silenced. Humanity weighed the cost of mercy against the danger of allowing such a force to survive. The fortress ship attempted to flee. Earth did not allow it. Human fleets rose from their hidden bases on the dark side of the moon and erupted from deep subterranean launch rails. They formed a massive ring that encircled the fortress ship. John, now assigned to orbit after the victory on the plains, commanded one of the central wings. His calm voice directed ships to positions as if orchestrating a vast machine. No one questioned him. The invaders sent one last message. This time it was a plea. They admitted defeat. They claimed they would never return. They begged for mercy. Humanity replied. A single declaration was broadcast from every ship in the orbiting fleet. The message did not roar. It did not rage. It stated a simple truth built over the long and brutal march of human history. Mercy belonged to the innocent, not to those who had torn life from countless worlds, not to those who would have burned Earth without hesitation. John gave the order. The human fleet fired as one. Hundreds of beams converged upon the fortress ship. Its hull buckled. Fire erupted from its sides. The lights within it dimmed. It tried to activate shields, but humanity had already disrupted its core. It tried to release drones, but every port was targeted. It tried to escape, but its engines dissolved under the bombardment. With a final flare, the fortress ship broke apart. Debris scattered and burned in the upper atmosphere, leaving streaks across the night thaw.